In this series, we address frequent topics that most managers and business leaders struggle with. We offer new perspectives and tips to help you test alternative behaviors or identify more productive paths to tackle your challenges.
Hello, welcome to Conversations with Grooa. Today we talk about conflict in the workplace, specifically the risk of avoiding conflicts. I'm Elena Di Girolamo and I'm here with Laura Lozza.
Hello, Elena and everybody.
So Laura, today I really want to bring in my own question. I have noticed one interesting interaction between you, Laura, and one of our Grooa partners and consultants, Monica. We actually had this interaction in one of our videos on YouTube. Monica claims that she used to be afraid of conflicts and hated them because she always wanted to have good relationships and harmony. Even if, in theory, she knew that the contribution of different perspectives can be very useful. But then she also says that when you two started to work together, designing leadership programs, things became gradually clearer. You two actually developed a model for productive conflicts, the C.L.E.A.R mindset model. You cracked the issue, so to say. In the video, Monica says, "Now I can be in harmony and in conflict. I can have fierce learning conversations and still protect the relationship." I've always loved this statement. I would like to hear more from you.
Yes, thank you. I can be in harmony and in conflict. That is an interesting statement by Monica, and I'm quoting her quite often because yes, that is the whole point. There are many organizations where there is an attempt to be inclusive and give space to everybody, and sometimes it's hard how to deal with clashes of opinions. There is a general problem which is very, very diffuse. It's one of the key issues, challenges, difficulties in collaboration today in the business world. I call it the unproductive clash of opinions headache. It is a headache. There are different opinions, they clash, and then somehow it's very hard to get something out of it unless someone steps in and imposes an idea, and the result is that the others feel like, okay, we do what the big, hard selling person does, but they're not fully committed. Or we try to give a little bit to each. Okay, if we do a little bit of this, we do a little bit of that. We try to create harmony. It's very hard to deal with disagreements with someone who has a different idea, someone who feels excited about something and someone who's negative about it. Very often there is this avoidance that you mentioned, that we don't want to break the relationship, we don't want to be non-inclusive. But how do we do that? How do we get some of the goods that come from the diversity of ideas? And instead of avoiding the confrontation, how can we get that confrontation of ideas without harming the relationship? How is it possible? How is it possible? Well, this is something that we have studied for years and years and years, and we've actually become specialized into this area. How to resolve the unproductive clash of opinions headache. Yes, it is possible to have productive clashes of opinions. It is possible to use the diversity of ideas to learn. You said something about learning conversations, learning courageous conversations where we create some frictions between the ideas, but we don't attack the people. We don't say you're right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. We don't try to focus on the people. We are respecting the relationship and we appreciate everybody's opinions, but we're very clear, this has an issue, and how about that? And I feel very strong that this is a possible solution. What do you see? How can you find another solution? in the interest of finding something that is really good for everybody, and especially for the business, for everybody in terms of the shareholders, the stakeholders, not for me and you, because I want to have a little piece of my idea. At the end, when we have created that productive conversation, then it is everybody's ideas, not just a little compromise. That is the solution to the unproductive clash of opinion, the headache from unproductive to productive.
So you really say that productive clash of opinions help the business, and what about the productivity?
Yes, it's interesting because what sometimes people hear when we talk about it is yes, we want to keep the harmony and we don't want to be too much into the conflict. Well, there is a misunderstanding here. Harmony doesn't mean that I want to be always in agreement with you. I often say, agreement is like chocolate. A little bit is nice, but if we continue to agree, too much chocolate is dangerous is unhealthy, and too much yes, agreeing with everybody is actually harming the business. So there are studies. I mean, it's interesting that there are many studies where I remember one in particular where management teams were selected to and examined in terms of their productivity, how well they were doing on the meeting their KPIs, how well they were growing, how well they were having financial control, how well the whole team had, the 360s, the assessments, how well they had their, balanced profile. So the groups were split into the very effective, the very productive management teams, where they were checking all of the boxes of effectiveness and productivity, the medium ones, and the badly performing ones, the ones who were always behind on KPIs, who had just bad assessments and stuff like that. And then they sent observers to see what their behaviors were during a given day. And the observers didn't know whether they were assessing a high-performing team, a medium, or a bad-performing team. But they had a selection of questions, or they needed to observe what they do in this case, in that case, to see what made those management teams effective or non-effective, productive or not productive. And they noticed that the biggest difference was about the openness and the good balance of recognition and criticism. There were, for every negative comment, which needs to be there, for everything that was pointing at this is a risk, how about that? For every confrontation, there were 5 reassurances. There were optimistic statements. There were encouragements. So it's not about not telling the bad news. It's about telling the bad news. It's about confronting ideas, about saying, I don't understand why that happened. Let's even fight about it, but fight it in a way that we also say, I know that we can make it. So there has to be a certain balance, that the best performing teams had a ratio of 5-1 for every negative statement that clashed with the others. There were 5 positive comments. The medium ones, they had 1-1, and the ratio for the poor performing ones was like 0.1 to 1. So you can have criticism, you can have clashes, you can point at things directly, tough feedback. You can have conflicts, you can have clashes, but you can have them in a productive way where you balance it and really take care of making sure that you use whatever is on the table for what is worth, not because someone wants to win or be right. Does it make any sense?
Yes, absolutely. I think this case study explains it very clearly. I'm wondering about the skills. What skills do you need to face or um, be able to be in a productive conflict?
Yes, there are kind of different types of skills, and in a way, sometimes we need to unlearn some traditional way of being in leadership, being charismatic or pushing or directive. It used to be something that we were doing in the past to try to convince people. We need to unlearn this idea of convincing. We need to learn how to just get people together to build and learn something together. It's not me convincing you, because the idea is I can be the smartest person on earth, but I am never going to be as smart as everybody. So what are the skills? The skills we have developed this, as you mentioned, the clear mindset methodology, where we say we start from me. I need to first of all understand what gives me anxiety. When I'm faced with, I disagree, I have a different opinion, this doesn't sound right. When I'm faced with a disagreement, I have certain reactions. I think and I feel different things. I might think this person is attacking me and I'm trying to defend myself, or I feel attacked and anxious. And then I started to react on impulse, getting defensive, defending my idea, as opposed to getting curious to hear the other person. The first two skills are to get in the moment, to clear our mind, to be able to be present, clear mind, clarity of mind, presence in the moment, without going, why is this person doing that? They're attacking me, or what should I do? What should I not? Being present in the mind, in the head, and then being able to be cool emotionally instead of feeling attacked. We might feel attacked instinctively, overcoming the feeling of wanting to be defensive is important. Emotional management, that is what we call leading with the heart. It's the C and the L, clarity of mind, and L, leading with the heart, the C and L of clear. That's the first step. Get yourself ready, and then we can go to, now that you are ready, that we are in the right place to open up, to listen, to converse, not to get defensive, to have that interaction. We've taken care of ourselves. And then how do we deal with the others? Then there is the other set of skills, which is active listening, which is negotiating in different ways. Sometimes we want to say, well, to me it seems simple, rational. This is what we could do, A, B, C. Some of the times we can say, I have a gut feeling, and there are different types of ways of handling situations to involve others. Sometimes you are in a situation where people are just very happy to say, okay, it's mainly your responsibility. So sounds right. Let's go ahead. More complex issues maybe need different types of approaches. So how to negotiate with the others, how to bring your ideas, but without preventing others from telling you their ideas, inviting the conversation so that we can get something better. And that is the E, engage and inquire and engage, from the clear. There's also the A, which is ambiguity management. When we are in the process of creating, then it feels like, maybe sometimes we take too much time. That's a very big deal breaker. We want to be inclusive. We want to involve everybody. We know that it is good and productive to have sometimes a bit of a longer conversation than usual. And then we can get back to the anxiety of, the group anxiety. We're brainstorming here. We're never going to make it. Let's go to the first idea, which was, on the table. The anxiety of the unknown, of the uncertainty, of the ambiguity. There are so many options. So you need to learn to tolerate that and say, yeah, it's normal. It's normal. It's okay. We're into this Lent of ambiguity and uncertainty. And that's a good point, because then something will emerge. We need to learn how to let the future that wants to emerge come out and appear. It might take a longer time at the beginning, but we save so much more time down the road for all of the misunderstandings and duplications and mistakes that we do when we are not actually taking the conversation at the beginning. And then, of course, we need the R, the resourceful innovation, we call it, because we're creating something new, so it's an innovation. We need to be very resourceful at that point. Once we have created this common idea, collaboration, then we need to hold ourselves and others accountable. We need to continue to remind each other of the shared ownership. That's the moment to continue to be very critical and continue to have conversations that are very specific. Changing course is possible. We can have another conversation, but there needs to be a good reason. So those are the 5 elements, the 5 sets of skills that we have put into our theory. And that is the theory.
Yes, indeed, Laura, that is the theory. This theory is useful to be read. You can also watch videos on YouTube that we have published or material that we have on our website. But I know from experience that knowing things is not enough. Actually, you need to practice to be able to get acquainted with the methodology and use it, put it in place at its best. So how can we practice all these skills?
That is why we always say our knowledge of this issue, how to transform unproductive clashes of opinions from a headache to a productive clash. This theory, the knowledge, the methodology, the videos, everything that we have, this is all there, out there for free. Books that I've written, everything is there for the public. We're very happy for people to just, use it. But we know it's not enough. So what we love to do is to help people practice. Think about a bicycle, the first time that you tried. Probably you tried as a kid, but anything that you try which is new, is it possible that you just give someone who's never been on a bike all the theory and then they know how to do it, they jump on it and they can ride a bike from the first moment because they know everything about the mechanics, the kinetics, the engineering, the design of the bike. They understand how it functions. They understand that you have to keep moving. They understand how to pedal. Well, the first time that you get in, you need to adapt it to your position, your body, your movements. You will fall. You will have to gradually find your point of equilibrium. And then after you've practiced a little bit, then you can actually go back and read and say, that is what it meant. That is what was meant into this theory. So yes, the theory is useful. It's useful to go back to it. It's useful if you want to become an expert in it, to revise, but to continue to practice. So there has to be both. And we specialize into experiential opportunities for group trainings, for coaching, for facilitations. We're very happy to do that because that is where we also see that something really happened when people take it on themselves and they know how to use the tools that we have written about that make sense but are not easy to make them yours until you actually try it.
Yes, that is, I recognize it so much. I mean, that is, first of all, as we already said, practice. We come back to practice in many of our different conversations we've had. It's really, really important. And if I can go back to the theme of today, never get scared of a different opinion. Stay curious. There is always something to learn. And as you said, I think this is something that comes back to my mind very often. Nobody is more intelligent than everybody. I mean, the collective energy and what we can put together with all the diversity is always much more than implementing the idea and the project of one single person. So
Absolutely.
Go for productive conflicts that bring, for sure, high results.
Thank you, Elena.
If you have a question or a topic of interest, please email laura@groa.com. Thanks for listening.